All right. Hello again, Avengers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2025, number 20. And today fucking sucked. And not for the reasons you think it did. Woke up this morning feeling like P. Diddy. No. Woke up this morning, and for whatever reason, my brain has decided that nausea is the greatest thing ever, and I need to be constantly feeling like I'm this close to throwing up. I do not understand why. I have stopped fighting my brain with this, but the one thing that helps is orange juice. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. So generally, when I wake up, and I can get myself out of bed, which normally takes a few hours, I will go to my little mini fridge that I have in the other part of the basement, and I will pour myself a small glass of orange juice so that I will stop feeling like I'm about to throw up. In that other part of the basement that I live in, it is unfinished. The place I live in is finished. See how pretty it looks? The other place is unfinished. And in there is all the rest of the shit you normally see in a basement. Like our water heater's in there. It exploded a little while ago. Now we have a new one. Our water softener's in there. Our electrical box. And our sump pump. If you're not familiar with what a sump pump is. In Wisconsin and other places that have cold climates, if you have what's called a slab foundation, meaning underneath your house is just this big slab of concrete that keeps it all up, that actually can have some problems when the ground freezes, because the big temperature changes actually will crack the slab and it can destroy the foundation of your house. So in houses in Wisconsin and most of the North, you will have either what's called a crawl space or a basement. And the reason being is because it goes below the freeze line, the foundation in and of itself can adjust to the temperature changes significantly better than just a slab of concrete on the ground. However, part of the danger of digging below the freeze line is you can also get below the water table. Basically, there's water throughout the ground, and if you dig deep enough, you will eventually see it. That's how wells work, is you dig below the water table, and the water just sitting below the ground begins to pool. So if your basement is below the water table, water can just seep into the basement through your concrete, even if it's sealed and everything like that, and you eventually get to swim through your basement. To deal with that, they have a thing called a sump pump. They dig a big old hole below your basement, and instead of the water going into your basement, there's pipes and stuff that make sure that all the water that normally seep into your basement goes into this sump basin. And then there's a pump in there that once it gets to a certain level, the pump turns on and it sucks all the water out and it keeps the basement from flooding. It's a really nice thing, especially when you live in the basement. So I go in to get my orange juice. Sump pump is on. It happens. The way that the sump pump works, it has this little ball floater thing that has a stick attached to it. And as the water level rises, the stick gets higher and higher, and eventually there's a little rubber stopper on the stick. And once that rubber stopper gets above a certain point, it flicks a switch, and it turns the sump pump on. And then as it goes down, it'll flip the switch back off once the water level is low enough. Well, here's sump pump going. Generally, this process takes maybe 10 seconds. It sucks the water out real fast. So I get in there, I hear the sump pump working. That's a normal thing. I'm like, okay, perfectly fine, whatever. But as I'm in there fighting with the orange juice bottle, because orange juice bottles for some odd reason hate me and don't like to open, sump pump is still going. 30 seconds pass, a minute passes, 2 minutes. I'm like, that's not right. Is it just really, really heavy water or something. So I go, and we have this little concrete cover on there that doesn't fit very well. So I have to lift this concrete slab out of the way, which hurts like hell. And it's not that big either. It's like this by this. It's just this little kind of half circle of concrete. But because of everything wrong with me, it hurt like hell. I look in, the water level is not going down, but the pump is going fucking crazy. So I freak out because I have anxiety problems. Go and wake up my brother and figure out what's going on. We call a plumber. Eventually we figure out we're in like the middle of like a polar vortex or something. It's super, super cold. And I actually keep at least one window in the basement open to keep air circulating, and because it keeps the basement cooler, and I have body temperature issues. Like I'm always really, really warm, and if the external temperature gets too warm, like I get really, really sick. So what had happened is our sump pump, to get the water out, normally the way it's supposed to work is there's a pipe that goes from the pump, it goes up until you're above ground level, and it goes out outside the house, and then there's a little slopey slope so that the water will naturally let gravity drain it away from the house, because you don't want to dump it right outside the house, because then it'll just seep back into the house. That's how it's supposed to work. Ours, for whatever reason, instead of going up and out, it goes up and then over and then goes along the entirety of the wall of the house and then goes back up and shoots out. Well, the problem with this is during a polar vortex, temperature outside makes the walls cold. And what happened was the water froze in our sump pump pipe. It didn't burst the pipe, which is really, really nice, because that's one of the things that can happen when water freezes in pipes, is it can destroy the pipe. And this is actually PVC pipe, so easier to destroy than something like cast iron or something like that. Didn't destroy the pipe, but it completely blocked everything. So I got out a space heater, and we heated the room and used fans and all this stuff. And eventually the plumber dude came out, and all he had to do was basically tap the pipes a few times to make sure that everything was running. And then we ran, like I literally poured the hottest water I could get out of the tap into the sump pump basin, and then we ran that super hot water through all the pipes to make sure any ice left with there was gone. But yeah, that was the entirety of my day, was dealing with this and being terrified that it was going to back up and destroy everything we have in the basement, destroy my room, destroy all the carpet in here. Like it was an absolute nightmare for me. And then my brain, because my brain doesn't work the way it's supposed to, keeps coming up with all these nightmare scenarios like, oh, and then there's going to be all this mold that forms. And because my brain doesn't allow me to leave the basement without having panic attacks, I get to just sit in the basement and breathe in these spores and slowly die. It's not what happened, but that's what my brain told me was going to happen, because my brain hates me. So, yeah, fuck today. It fucking sucked. And I feel like I have been run over by a train. Because again, I have these conversion disorders, so that when bad things happen and I have panic attacks, I can't just like panic like a normal human being. No, my body has to literally cause physical problems. It can be seizures, they can be body aches. I've had pulled muscles and things like this from that. It's the weirdest thing in the world. So yeah, I feel like shit right now. We are lucky enough that the sump pump is perfectly fine. I can't keep windows open anymore in the basement during the polar vortex, which I realize probably should have figured that one out on my own, but I'm just happy none of the pipes burst. And yeah, it is just freaking nightmare all day. And then when it was finally over, I could do nothing but just kind of lie down. Couldn't sleep, because my brain will only let me sleep at certain times. All I could do was lie down and try to convince myself that I was not going to die. Because that's how my brain works. So, Yeah. Hopefully tomorrow's better. I'll see you guys tomorrow.